My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
Taking care of kids, senior loved ones, and yourself can already be stressful, and adding new fall routines into the mix can make it feel impossible. Remember, it's okay to ask for help. There's a reason why 29 million families have turned to Care.com. Care.com helps you find background-checked sitters, nannies, and senior caregivers who can help with everything from watching kids after school to senior meal prep. Find care that fits your budget and schedule with Care.com and get the help you need.
Pursuing your future doesn't end at 40. In fact, it may mark the beginning of knowing who you are, what you're capable of, and what you really want. But knowing what's next and how to get there can be a challenge, especially when old narratives play on repeat. Liberty Road is here to share stories so that you can consider your possibilities, pursue your purpose, and move into your future with intention. I'm your host, Netta Jones, and we're here to listen, learn, and liberate dreams, one episode at a time. Well, hello, Liberty listeners. Welcome to another episode of Liberty Road. Today, we get to hang out with Larissa Thomson of ONDA Beauty, and I'm excited to talk all things clean beauty. I'm excited to talk about her story, about launching something in her middle third, and just glad to have her on the show. Larissa, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Netta. I'm so happy to be here and love what you're doing. Love it all.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, the feeling is mutual. We love what you're doing.
Thank you.
You and I had just been chatting a little bit about it's so great at this time in life not to just to be looking at pro-aging and what that means, but also to have resources like yours where we can step into that time of life, take care of our skin, and we know we're dealing with clean products. And you said something that I thought was really wise, which was, you know, some of this is just self-acceptance and being the best version of who we are now and not trying to kind of return to the past. And I appreciate that. So before we get into all of that, tell us what ONDA Beauty is for those who don't know.
Yeah, so ONDA Beauty is a destination in New York City in Tribeca. It is a retail shop. I curate and vet over about 70 plus brands, skincare, body, fragrance, variety of things, hair care. We also do treatments. We are very well known for our various facial treatments. We do body work, energy work, brow work. But I like to think of us as sort of a hub for community and transparency, and anybody who wants to create a better world for themselves and live a happier, healthier life and hang out with us.
I think it's probably that reason right there why you guys keep getting rated as like top place in New York for clean beauty and for treatments. It's not just what you have to offer, it's the way you offer it and the way you invite community into your business, your offering, and you are truly now a service to people, right? It's a mind shift as a business owner. Do you think that?
I do. I mean, I think I'm really a believer in finding the thing that you love to do. And I really love to do this. I was in the store alone actually all day yesterday because nobody else could come in. And I had the best day. You know, I got to talk to people all day, help them, get to know them. And I think providing that sort of personal service and intimate kind of get to know each other service is really important in what people are looking for. Just something a little bit more real, you know, and everybody who works for ONDA is offering the best parts of themselves.
What does the name mean? I have to ask.
Yeah, it's so I had been traveling to Mexico, to Tulum for a very, very long time. Like I started going, I think maybe 30 years ago or so. And it used to be
way before it was
I don't
what
go
it is
anymore,
now.
Unfortunately.
The hipster's destination. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, when I went, it was dirt roads, lights were out at 9 o'clock. You know, there was no electricity after 9 o'clock. But it was really my place of decompression and almost sort of spiritual for me. So when I had this idea to create ONDA, and I knew I wanted it to be a brick and mortar and a physical space, I wanted it to be something that affected people, hopefully the way traveling to Tulum affected me, which was, it was something about the sounds, the smells. It was, a sensory experience. The sounds, the smells, the taste, the visual, all just really provided such a respite for me. And especially living in New York City, things get to be a bit much. So Tulum was the sort of inspiration in that way, what the experience would be. And then once I had decided I was going to do this, I couldn't think of a name. I happened to be in Tulum. I was walking down the beach and I saw this sign that said ONDA. And I just liked the way it looked graphically and visually. I asked my friend there what it meant. And she said, it means wave, but not like necessarily a wave in the ocean, but more like a flow of energy or a ripple. And I thought my life at that time was transitioning from my 27-year career into something brand spanking new. And it felt like a flow of energy that was going in the right direction.
Wow. Well, love it. I love the name.
Yeah. And plus wave and water. I mean, I don't know if you can see this, but I have a tattoo of a wave.
Oh, there you go. See, it was meant to be. It was meant to be.
Yeah.
And what was that 27-year career that you were pivoting from?
Yeah. So in I think it was 27 years, 1991, I started in the world of fashion and magazines. I worked for 17 magazine, and I continued on from there. I worked at Condé Nast on and off time. Where else did I work? Glamour, InStyle, Mirabella when it came back for a minute.
Wow.
And ended at Self Magazine as the fashion market director there.
Wow. So you had lots of experience seeing product come and go and trying different things at those various posts.
Well, I was in fashion, but everyone thinks I was in beauty. So I never did beauty, although at Self especially, I was very close with the beauty director. So funny story, I always was trying to use the healthiest beauty products available, which a long time ago, there wasn't a lot. I was buying Dr. Hauschka at Whole Foods at that time, which is a great brand. By the way.
Yes.
And then Elaine DeFarley, who was the beauty director, knew my whole ethos around that and my desire to try all things, sort of as many things safe and chemical free. And she said she brought these beautiful green bottles with gold tops into my office. She said, "This brand, Tata Harper, is just launching. Do you want to try it?" And I took one look, and it was really my first experience with luxury meeting clean, safe, botanical. And I was crazy about it. That was a long time ago. So I got to try products that way.
That was a meaningful part of your own routine, and then seeing this intersection of luxury and clean beauty. Were we calling it clean beauty then? I don't know. But that must have triggered something for you, right? And you kind of held on to that?
It didn't really. It's funny how you can really love something and not be that conscious of it until it just, I left fashion, I left magazines in 2015. I took some time off, and then in the middle of night, I was, shopping online for beauty products, and I had been trying to think of what do I want to do next? I want to start my own thing. I want it to be my own business. I think I want it to be in wellness. Do I want food? Do I want fitness? I was taking this time to kind of mull over everything. And then it just all hit me. I know I tell this story all the time, but I had this download into my brain and into my soul in one flash where I just knew that I wanted to create a space, what I wanted it to look like, what I wanted it to offer, what I wanted to offer people, that I wanted it to be about community and a sensory experience and something very personal. Pretty much the antithesis of a department store experience.
Yes. Yeah.
And the next day I woke up and I told my husband, I said, "This is what I want to do." And I just started. I started testing products. I ordered a lot. I spent a lot of money. And I just started plowing ahead. Yeah. So I didn't see it, even though it was kind of sitting right in front of me the whole time.
Sure.
I like to think of it as divine intervention. I know that sounds very woo-woo.
Let's call it that. No, I'm a believer. I'm a big believer, actually. I appreciate that because I'm always thinking of what our listener is hearing. And there are lots of stories of people who talk about something they've been passionate about for a long time or something they have been mulling over for a long time. And what I appreciate about your story and what it will ignite in the listener is, oh, wait a minute, this was very organically a part of her life, but she wasn't thinking about it in terms of career or what am I going to do with this? And then all of a sudden it all came together. And I think those moments, very rare moments of clarity can't be underestimated, that they are in so many ways exactly what we need to sort of take that first step. Otherwise, we just sit around and question ourselves. And what does that make sense? But when it's so clear, it's like, no, I actually have to give this a shot.
Yeah, I did feel like there was no option. I had to do this. I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
I had zero fear around it. It was very strange. But I do, in retrospect, I often wonder if I hadn't created space for myself by leaving that career and just taking a little break, which was probably, the first non-working break I've taken since I was 15 years old. I mean, I've always worked, but I'm lucky, right? Not everybody has that opportunity.
Sure.
But just creating some space, leaving that behind. I also took that time to do things I never had time to do before. I was doing more yoga. I took a class in Vedic meditation. Like, I cooked more. I was there for my son all the time. And that was such a gift.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think, we get stuck in these ruts and these patterns of doing things exactly the same all the time, and we think there's no other way. But just, a friend of mine said to me once, just shift one thing in your day today, even if it's taking a different path to work or doing something else that you normally never do. And you'd be surprised how that can kind of jog everything and bring a different perspective into your life.
Oh, there's our tip for the day. Thank you for that. I love that. Okay, so let's back up a little bit, because we've been hearing about clean beauty a lot. And I'm maybe one of many people who are starting to get a little skeptical about brands who are just slapping it on as a trend. And it seems like I'm not really sure who's managing this, right? It was like when organic foods were first coming out. It's like people were just slapping on this label, and there wasn't really this unified, organized institution that was saying, yes, this qualifies as organic, truly. And I also realized that when you dig a little bit, a brand might say they're clean and they're talking about the removal of one thing, but everything in their packaging is creating a disaster for the world, or the amount of paper that they're creating to advertise or to promote this, or whatever it is. So what for you, what does ONDA say? What does Larissa say is clean beauty?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard, right? Because I think even the term, we were calling it natural, we were calling it botanical, and we still kind of talk about, some people don't like the term clean beauty. We landed there for now, but I'm not saying this will be forever. I also like to say safe beauty, and I think what it means is, that you transition into using personal care products that are safe for you and your family, that don't include toxic chemicals, harmful ingredients. And, hopefully, and I think this is a little bit more difficult for brands because it's still kind of very expensive and challenging to create a brand that also uses packaging, paper, no plastic, uses glass, the least amount of packaging. It's difficult to address, I think, for some people, the environmental element of it as well. That's the perfect scenario for me. If we find a brand that does all the things, it's beautiful, it smells great, it's efficacious, it's, and then the branding's beautiful. And then on top of it, they take that part of it very seriously. Reducing carbon footprint and using, recyclable elements, and it's sustainable. And some brands can do that, but I like to try to be patient, because I've had the good fortune to have now been watching this natural beauty arena from when I started this in 2015 to now. And it's pretty incredible, actually. Everybody and their mother is getting into this, which is hard. Because it's harder to kind of, I get bombarded with so many brand emails every day.
I'm sure.
And it's hard to, we're still a small and scrappy team, and it's hard to kind of accept everybody in and review everything. But I will say that it just feels great. It feels like it's so nice to see that this is the way people are moving, because we know there's so much going on right now and a lot of negative. And I do feel like the clean beauty movement is a very positive one, but you have to know your stuff. I mean, I do see how consumers have become a lot more educated, but the way you can sort of decipher it for yourself is you can either educate yourself, you can follow some simple rules like, avoid the dirty dozen, which include, sulfates, parabens, PEGs, easy to look up, fragrances, formaldehyde. You can also use EWG. That's a great source. They have something called Skin Deep, and you can plug in either ingredients or a product, a brand. They have a lot in their database, and it will give you a rating. I think it's 1 to 5. And if it gets, that's kind of, I tend to use that when I am unfamiliar with something. So if anything rates over a 1, maybe a 2, depending on what it is, we don't bring it in to our curation. Anything above a 2 would be dangerous because it's got carcinogens, a carcinogenic ingredient, or maybe it's an endocrine disruptor. But sometimes it's just, it could be irritating to your skin and cause allergies. I think there's a big difference there. And then lastly, there's ONDA, but there are other places like ONDA. And I think it's really important to find some place where you can trust when you walk in the door that all the work's been done for you. Things have been vetted. Hopefully, like our staff, they're very knowledgeable. If you have any questions about products, brands, or ingredients, you just have to kind of know your stuff or go someplace where they know their stuff. Did that answer your question? I kind of rambled on there. Okay.
Yeah, no, it did. And I appreciate the comment about being patient because, look, if a brand meets all the things that you mentioned, that ideal brand, it can be very expensive for the consumer. And we have to be mindful of that too. And the brand, right? And so are we creating a situation where there's so much disparity between those who can afford to use it and the brands that are making it? And there's something messed up in that too, right? So what are we going to forgive? Right. Is it the glass bottle versus the plastic bottle or whatever? What is it that we're going to forgive so that we can get this in the hands of more people? So I appreciate that there is a patience element, and also that there are organizations, and the things that you just said we'll make sure to add into the show notes, where we can sort of do our own homework and we can be equipped as consumers to go in and make those choices. Knowing that so much was going on in clean beauty, how did you want to set ONDA apart? Like, what made you, besides this moment of clarity, what made you say, yeah, there's still a gap in the marketplace and I want to be a solution and a service provider for that gap when so much was going on? And we should back up and say, when did ONDA start? When did you get into the game?
Well, so that's the thing. So when we started, there wasn't really anyone.
There wasn't. Okay.
I mean, there wasn't Credo. There were a couple. I think Detox Market existed. I can't remember where Goop was at the time, but it was 2015. We launched online officially December 1, 2016. And then we opened our first store September of 2017. And then we continued to open some stores after that. My thinking at the time was, during that moment, I was sitting in bed late at night shopping for products. I was thinking, it's funny because I have all these friends who take wellness very seriously. They take the environment very seriously. And I thought about a few off the top of my head who I knew, for them and their families and their young kids, they shopped local. They tried to eat all or mostly organic, a lot of vegetarians, like all of that. But yet I would see people pull out, a chapstick, or see drugstore brand, shampoos and conditioners. And I'm not, poo-pooing all of that. It's maybe right for somebody, but those are two very different lifestyles. And I realized that the problem was a lack of awareness and education around this. So the FDA has banned a very small amount of toxic chemicals from personal care products. I think it's up to 12, 11, 12, 13, something like that, where the EU has banned something like over 11,000, right? Not a lot of people know that. Also, people don't know that your skin is your largest organ and that, your body doesn't just absorb things by eating them. It absorbs things through your scalp, through the bottom of your feet, through, application of moisturizers on your body, your face, and everything. So obviously, if that's going into your system, into your blood, we have to be careful.
Sure.
And there are so many dangerous things out there. So that got me thinking that, to combine these ideas of a sort of a really warm, comforting, inviting physical space that, affected all of your senses, that had an educated team of people who also were warm and friendly, who offered, things that were effective and appealing to a variety of people, whatever you needed, whether it was for you, your kids, you're 56 like me, or you're, 22, that we would kind of be able to help you in some way. And it turned out, as I started testing products and telling my friends what I was doing, they all started texting me. I need a new eye cream. Wait, I can't use chapstick anymore. What lip balm should I use? Do you know a good face cream? And so I knew right away that even before I started it officially or had anything to show, that people were interested in the knowledge and in being more aware and learning about that the way they maybe already knew about food.
Yeah.
I mean, in food too, they did create, you can look for if you want organic, you can now look for the organic. Because as you pointed out, there was a time where people were just saying organic, natural, this, that. And it was like, the wild, wild west. We didn't know until that.
And I think when consumers demand more, then brands will respond, right? That's usually how it goes. But also, I think when companies like yours say, wait a minute, we're actually going to step up and curate, and it's a little harder, and it's there's more incumbent on us as a company to make this information available to you, and we have to say no to some brands that would have been great for our bottom line. But when you guys hold steady to that core value and we can start to trust you, then, and we start to flock to those things, then you're going to start to see other retailers make similar decisions, not just brands, but retailers who are going to be like, okay, well, the market is shifting. And then hopefully
100%.
What we talked about earlier, then that trickles down and we can make things more and more affordable so that everyone should have access to what's clean and what's healthy and what's safe and what's good. Like, this should not be rocket science, but unfortunately, brands are driven by bottom line. So if they can start to consider the consumer who wants that, then we're voting with our dollar, not a new concept.
Exactly. And we've seen it's happening, and it's been steadily happening and moving forward for a few years now.
And we're thankful for that. I'm seeing this new disparity that's emerging around, I'm 56 as well, around our age group, right? And I live in LA, so I realize like it's right in front of me. It's going to be right in front of you in New York too.
Yeah.
But where I am matched up with another 56-year-old who is, God bless her, you do you, but she's doing a lot more to care for her skin through intervention. Again, not down on it at all, just saying that 56-year-old looks very different than the 56-year-old next to her making different decisions. And I'm wondering if we should be aware that we're creating disparities where we're going to see almost like this pitting against each other of, well, she's doing that, and so that's why she looks great. I'm choosing this path, and so I don't look as great. Do you, as somebody who's in the skincare industry, do you see that? Are you concerned with that? Is it like, well, no, we're just creating more options for people and people can choose their options?
Well, first of all, I hope I'm sure it will to some degree, but we've got enough pitting against each other right now.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I hope that doesn't really happen. I mean, what I have noticed is, and this always makes me happy, is we have people in our community, customers who come in who get a lot of work done, and
Mm-hmm.
some just Botox, some more than that. And we have some who don't want any work done. I think it's just what your preferences are. And,
Mm-hmm.
I know what my feelings are personally, but I have lots of friends and, they cross the gamut in terms of what they don't do and doing everything.
Yeah.
And I think that's a personal choice. It's an individual choice. It depends on what your definition of, I guess, beauty is and attraction.
Yeah.
I don't personally like the look of somebody who's had too much work done and has lip filler, face filler, Botox. Like, it just isn't my thing. It's the same in the
Yeah.
same way. Like, my favorite color could be orange and yours is blue. Like, everybody's, dances do a different tune. But balance is a big word for me. And I think, we live in a life of extremes. So for me, I think I really always try to find that middle ground and that balance of good things. I'm seeing, as I said this before, I'm seeing the clean beauty arena really evolve. And, it used to be that we didn't want to accept any products into our curation that had synthetics. Synthetics were bad. Now, there are so many clean synthetics, safe synthetics. We didn't know this before. They didn't exist before. So that is helping to produce products that are going to address some of these things that women are concerned about. I
Sure.
feel like growth factors, a lot of great brands and a few that we're using are providing clean, safe products with collagen, peptides, growth factors, vitamin A, retinoids, things that can help turn your cells over faster, which, or, not turn back the clock, but like help your skin and your tissue to regenerate quicker,
Yeah.
more easily, a little bit faster. So those things are going to get you closer to that. I don't like saying anti-aging, but as you said before, pro-aging. And
Yeah.
to me, that's about becoming the best version of yourself at whatever age you're at. So, I like my lines. Do I want 5,000 of them? No, but I don't
No.
mind them. I think that they say something about me and allow me to express myself.
So when you were talking about the various products that have collagen and things like that that are beneficial for us, it reminded me of several conversations I've had with menopause experts who've said, we tend to think about any intervention as bad, like we want to do things the all natural way, and yet people are suffering. People don't, suffering at different levels. And they don't necessarily have to be. And it sounds like what you just said reminds me of that. Like, there are things that can benefit us. We don't necessarily have to look at just because it, wasn't grown from the soil, it's bad for us. We have science and technology that's creating things that are good for us.
Right. Just because it's science, it doesn't make it a bad thing necessarily, right?
Yeah.
Like I said, I think consumers are becoming way more educated and starting to learn that. So whereas it was a lot of botanicals before, and botanicals are great and actually offer a lot of benefits as well, but the combination between, let's say, nature and science is, I think, where the magic actually really starts to happen. So can you turn
Yeah.
back the clock, 10, 20, 30 years? No, but you can nourish your skin and you can use products that really help your skin cells to turn over a little bit faster and, reduce some of those things that maybe you're not so happy about. I mean, again, I'm 56. I don't love everything that's going on, but I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
We said this before that we hopped on here. There are so many benefits that come with age, and I'm happy the way I look. Not
Yeah.
entirely. I should take that
Yeah.
back. That's not totally transparent. I need to work out more.
Yes. Yes. What I hear you saying is there are things within our control that we can do to make ourselves better that don't necessarily require some of those outside intervention, the
That's right.
work.
Right. We can do certain things to help our appearance without doing surgical procedures, injectables, anything invasive. But, some people might want to do a combination of both of those, maybe light injectables and then using really effective, clean, safe products as well. I find that using these products, they provide way more benefits than I ever saw with, let's say, non-clean beauty products.
Uh-huh.
I'm really amazed. I used to break out. I'd have 7, 8, 9 cysts on my chin like at once, frequently. That never happens anymore. And I think a lot of us are responding to chemicals and not even realizing it. But
Yeah.
that's the problem.
Yeah. What do you, as customers come in, what have you recognized, customers in our demographic,
Yes.
let's say, because you have all kinds of customers coming in. What have you seen them most concerned about with their skin? Is it the fine lines? Is that the reason they're coming in and they're trying to find a clean solution to that?
It runs the gamut, really. It's a lot of skin sensitivities, dryness. It's interesting to me. A lot of people come in and say, I don't even wash my face. I don't do anything, and so.
Do they also not wear makeup?
Sometimes not.
Yeah.
They'll spend the time to put makeup on, but not to properly
Wow.
care for their skin. And that's a bit of an oxymoron, I don't know if that's the right expression for it, but you can't really not take care of your skin at all and then try to cover it up with makeup. Like, it doesn't really make much sense to me. But I think, we see a lot of rosacea, weirdly, in people who don't even look like they have rosacea. So skin sensitivities, breakouts, dryness, people wondering about crepey skin, fine lines, clogged pores. One thing that I like to suggest, and we have the luxury of offering this, is we do incredible facials with really talented estheticians. And I think, if you're kind of starting from scratch, it's always a nice idea to start with a facial and a consultation and have somebody introduce you to your skin. What kind of skin do you have? Like, what have you experienced? And they'll kind of help you figure out what a routine that might work for you and benefit you will be. I think some women come in and they just are too overwhelmed. They're overwhelmed by the idea of having to do 20 steps. They're overwhelmed with the idea of having to transition from their chemical things to, or let's say their drugstore bought or whatever it is, to something cleaner and safer that we offer. And I always try to kind of pull way back and say, just let's start with one thing. You don't have to jump from A to Z. You just one step at a time. I listen to a lot of Martha Beck, and she did this podcast, what's called about turtle steps, and how research has actually shown that you can get a lot farther if you just go step by step instead of trying to race to the end, So I have some great customers who said, okay, I'll try one thing. And then they came back, I'll try another thing. And now a few people say to me, I used to think of it as work. And now all day I just look forward to my, 10 minutes, 15 minutes in the bathroom where I can lock the door and use these products, and they smell good. They feel good. My skin looks great afterwards. And it's creating space and time to enjoy something. It's not necessarily work unless you make it work.
And just that time for yourself, when you were talking about the person who takes the time to put on the makeup but not to take it off.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, is that the difference between the makeup is for the makeup is for the way you present yourself to the world for other people's sake, but washing your face and taking care of your skin is for yourself, right?
Yeah.
For yourself in the present moment, but also for your future self, right? Taking care of what we have been gifted.
Absolutely. And also you will look better. You just will.
And you will look better. and who doesn't love that? You mentioned hair care earlier on when we were chatting. And I've been seeing more and more, scalp masks and hair masks and massaging your scalp and scalp health and all this sort of stuff. And we don't necessarily think of that when we think about our skin. We think about our face. And maybe now we've been convinced to think about our neck, right?
Yeah.
Tell us what you know about kind of hair and scalp health. And are you seeing that as an upward trend as well? Or are more products coming out for our dollars?
It's funny to follow the trajectory, because first it was, all skin health, and there were a million face oils and serums and moisturizers and all of that. And I wondered, what's next? And I said to somebody, I think this was years ago. I said, I think scalp health is going to be the new gut health. And I remember my team at the time laughed at me. They're like, what are you talking about? Well, that's completely wrong.
We should have put money on that. Yeah.
But it just made sense. It made sense in terms of, something had to come next.
Mm-hmm.
So in any case, yes, I think there are some beautiful hair care brands coming out. There's two that I really love. We carry Rose, R-O-Z, and 14th Night. The thing to realize about that is, your scalp, actually, a lot of people don't know this, but I'm pretty sure that your scalp is the most absorbent part of your body, if not one of the most absorbent parts of your body. And so anything you're putting on your hair, think about people who color their hair. You're coloring your hair, you're highlighting, you're using products, and all of that is going into one of the most absorbent parts of your body and closest to your brain. So it really would benefit people to kind of think about that. I color my hair.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect. I try to do the best. This is the other thing I tell people. Just try to do the best you can. Don't people put way too much pressure on themselves. You can just one step at a time, do what you can do. And then maybe you'll go further and further and further, but it's not a race, it's not a competition, and it's a life choice,
It's turtle steps, as you've taught us. It's turtle steps.
It is. And I think in the beginning, we were limited in what our choices were in hair care. And there are many, many now that I think are fantastic, from shampoo to conditioner to mask to lifting sprays and hair oils. Am I answering your question?
Yeah, you are. I'm glad you're seeing it as a trend that sounds like it has a reason for being. And with aging hair, it's more brittle and it doesn't necessarily do all the things we want, and it's falling out. And there's I think around the scalp and hair issue, there's even more symptomatically, there's even more in this age group that we're dealing with. And it would be nice to find natural solutions to those things. It seems to me that I've seen some injectables that they are touting it as all or more natural than perhaps Botox as a brand, right? So there is a Botox-like substance that's more natural. Maybe it's not all natural.
Yeah.
Are you seeing more and more of those things happening?
Injectables aren't really my expertise, so I'm not really sure, although my dermatologist is also one of my closest friends, and he does, so I get to see what... he does a lot of work. Yeah, he does a lot of work. He does a lot of celebrities.
I'm sure he's busy.
I'm very sure he's busy. Yeah. I don't know, but I would think yes.
Yeah.
I think, for instance, I've been seeing the same person for, 15 years. He's amazing. He created a hair dye, a hair color that's only sold in spas that is as safe as you can make it, right? There's not, I don't know that there's ever going to be anything as completely safe. It's sort of like, I'm going to segue into nail polish. I don't know how much you know about that, but
a little bit.
Like a friend of mine, Adina Bromsic, has a chain of nail salons and products called 10 over 10. And, the idea, it started with removing the dangerous chemicals. How could they create a polish that worked and was effective and the colors were vibrant? So they started with removing, I think, one or two. And then they started calling them, okay, this polish is 3 free, meaning the 3 worst chemicals in it. Have you ever heard this before?
No.
Okay. So,
I know 10-10, but I haven't heard this concept of, okay.
Right. So it was, and again, this isn't, nail care is not my specialty either.
Sure,
I'm going to, just go with what I think I know. So 3 free, and then certain brands started doing 5 free and then 8 free. I think, I'm not sure, but I think that some brands are up to 10 free. So that means 10 really harmful, because, there's formaldehyde, there's toluene, there's a lot of unsafe chemicals in nail polish. So, but they're removing things one by one and figuring out how to formulate these polishes so that they still work without the chemicals. That is pretty much, I think, what Larry, my hair guy, did with his brand of hair color. But he was able to remove as many of the unsafe toxic chemicals as possible and still have a great result, for your hair. So, it's about, you got to get out there and look. And also patience, again, these things are starting to evolve.
So it seems to me that it's a matter of time, and then it's just, well, is it real? Is that calling that injectable all or kind of natural real? And we as consumers will have to make those decisions, and hopefully we'll tune into people like you who can help us navigate that. Larissa, thank you. I feel like we've learned so much about all things clean, but also just the wisdom, the Martha Beck wisdom about kind of one step, these turtle steps, takes a lot of the pressure off of how do I enter into a clean beauty or skincare routine and not have to go and empty my medicine cabinet of all the things that I've invested in. Is there one thing that you think, like one good place to start? Is it a cleanser, a moisturizer? What do you think is, if we're just getting started in our clean beauty routine, can you recommend one product that we start with? You don't have to name a brand, but just a a category.
I mean, there's two things really, because I often try to get people to switch to a clean deodorant, something that doesn't have aluminum in it, which aluminum is now, connected to things like Alzheimer's. So
it is? I knew it was connected to breast cancer, but I didn't know it was connected to Alzheimer's.
Aluminum, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And my mother has Alzheimer's.
I'm sorry.
I definitely think that's one, like for, let's say, face and body. So for body, I would start there. And for face, I think a cleanser is really easy. I think because there are so many different kinds, and really for me, cleanser is a little bit of the unsung hero. Like, you need to wash that day away. Wherever you live, there are going to be environmental pollutants, environmental stressors for your skin, makeup, sweat, whatever. And there are cleansers that there's such a variety, you cream cleanser, gel cleanser, oil cleanser, clay. And I think that's an easy, and plus a variety of price points. And usually cleansers aren't too expensive, relatively speaking. So it's just it's an easy price point, entry point for all those reasons.
Okay. I'm going to put you on the spot.
Yeah. Oh God.
If I've used so many kinds of clean deodorants and I haven't found one that works.
Yeah.
Name more than one if that makes it easier. Can you give us some names?
I can, but there's a trick to it too. Some people say detoxing from your old deodorant is important. I don't really follow that philosophy. I love Corpus. We stock Corpus. I love it. We also stock a brand called Salt and Stone, which I love. Both work. The trick that I find works well, I know this might not make any sense, but I use one for a while. It's almost like my body's becoming immune to it. So then I switch to the other brand and I go back and forth, and that's how it works for me. Now, it's not an antiperspirant, right? So it's not going to stop you from sweating, but you need to sweat. But it is a good they are good deodorants. There's another one, we don't stock it, but I will say for somebody who I think maybe more easily found out in the world, there's a brand called Schmidt's that I think is fantastic and a really good price point. And you can get in a lot of grocery stores.
Yeah, you can. I've seen it available in lots of places.
But try that trick. Actually, I will send you one of each. I will ship them to you.
Okay. That's awesome. And then, because our listeners are going to say, why didn't she ask this question? What about face wash? Like, give us a couple brands that we should start with.
Oh boy. Okay. I'm one of those people, I'm a big fan of face wash because I have a lot of them in my shower. I mean, my bathroom is crazy, but I have a lot of them in my shower because I find that it's the one thing that I change up all the time depending on if I have makeup on, what kind of day I have, what kind of mood I'm in, so I use different oil cleansers that I love. There's one de ma Miel oil cleanser that smells so heavenly and removes makeup. One Love Organics does a bee oil cleanser that's great. Vintner's Daughter, a lot of people know Vintner's Daughter because they make this beautiful face oil botanical serum. They do a beautiful cream cleanser. Tammy Fender does a milky cleanser that's beautiful. Symbiome has a light gel cleanser. I mean, I could go on and on.
I know you could.
Yeah, there are a lot. Oh, African Botanics makes this really beautiful oxygenated baobab cleanser that is great for our age group. I think it has a lot of skin benefits for mature skin. Goop, we just started stocking a Goop one that's a 2-in-1. It's an exfoliating jelly cleanser that for people who and so many people, they don't want 5,000 steps. So like I'll recommend that because you can cleanse and exfoliate in one.
Okay. Listeners, we will have all of this in the show notes because it's too good not to share. Thank you. Thank you for all of your knowledge. It's been so vast and wide. I appreciate it.
Of course.
But last question I have to ask as an homage to Liberty Road and, what we're here doing, trying to help women consider their possibilities and be intentional about their future at this stage in life. How has ONDA Beauty liberated Larissa?
Well, I launched ONDA once and then bought it back. We didn't even get into that, and relaunched it this past October, about almost a year ago. And I would say the value in everything I learned the first time around and getting the opportunity to apply it to this second time around is a real gift and feels very liberating. And the freedom, I think freedom's a big word for me these days. And there's a sense of purpose and freedom in going after something that might be impossible, but you're going to give it a shot because you'd rather say, oh, well, than what if? And I feel like having had this idea, brought it to fruition, and having it be somewhat of I don't like calling us a success, but I think people enjoy what we do, feels really liberating. It's living out your purpose. It's living out your dream. It's valuing the ups and downs and all of the takeaway from that, and really learning how to ride the wave. I do not like being uncomfortable. I'm a terrible sick person. I don't like discomfort, but I'm realizing now that there is serious benefit and education in being uncomfortable.
And one more piece of mic drop wisdom that you leave us with. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Thank you for hanging out with us. I so appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. And no regrets, by the way, no regrets.
And no regrets. Yeah. Yes, that's a good one to hang on to. And Liberty listeners, thank you guys for hanging out with Larissa and with me. And we will have everything she mentioned in the show notes because there's so many goodies here. So you guys can access it from the website. We'll see you guys next week. Talk to you then. Bye. Liberty Road is broadcast on all platforms: Apple Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcast, and more. If you like what you've heard, please follow, rate, and review Liberty Road on Apple Podcast and Spotify. It helps us to know if these episodes are inspiring and equipping you to move into your middle third with intention. Liberty Road is created by executive producer Netta Jones, supervising producer Elizabeth Wyndham, producer Julia Wyndham, and music by Jack Jones.
To make switching to the new Boost Mobile risk-free, we're offering a 30-day money-back guarantee.
So why wouldn't you switch from Verizon or T-Mobile?
Because you have nothing to lose. Boost Mobile is offering a 30-day money-back guarantee.
No, I asked why wouldn't you switch from Verizon or T-Mobile?
Oh.
Wouldn't.
Because you love wasting money as a way to punish yourself because your mother never showed you enough love as a child?
Whoa. Easy there.
Yeah.
Applies to online activations. Requires port in and auto pay. Customers activating in stores may be charged non-refundable activation fees.
Taking care of kids, senior loved ones, and yourself can already be stressful, and adding new fall routines into the mix can make it feel impossible. Remember, it's okay to ask for help. There's a reason why 29 million families have turned to Care.com. Care.com helps you find background-checked sitters, nannies, and senior caregivers who can help with everything from watching kids after school to senior meal prep. Find care that fits your budget and schedule with Care.com and get the help you need.